Okay, so it looks like we have enough people. Let's get this party started then. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Nikhil Guru. I am going to be today's moderator for this session from the Student Placement Council. So first of all, I would like to give a very, very warm welcome to our guest for today, Miss Shreya Singhal. As you all may have read from the posters that we have sent out, today's session is bound to be very, very interesting. Miss Shreya is joining us here today to talk about her journey from being a degree level student in the IIT Madras BS Degree program all the way to getting accepted into some of the most prestigious universities anywhere in the world. So a brief introduction about Miss Shreya. so Miss so I'm sorry, Mr. Lenovo. I don't understand what you mean by that, but let's continue with the session. So, Ms. Shreya, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an absolute honor to have you here with us, share your journey with all the students. A small introduction about Ms. Shreya. So she has been a degree level student at the IIT Madras BS Degree program. And apart from that, she does have a bachelor's in computer applications from the Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. So she is incredibly interested in research, especially in the edtech domain, and today she's going to be sharing with us her journey of how she got into some of the biggest universities in the world, including Harvard, the University of Pennsylvania, Carnegie Mellon, and the Columbia University. So I won't take too much time away from the session and from you guys. So the stage is all yours, Ms. Shreya. Thank you so much for joining us here. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A big thanks to IIT for inviting me to do the session. And I would really appreciate if some of you could turn your cameras on. That way I won't be talking to a screen. Yeah. Um, First of all, thank you, everyone. My phone has been buzzing for 2 days now. And thank you for all the warm wishes. And it feels great, honestly, to be here to talk about why and how I reached where I am. I would say it was not a linear graph. There were a lot of ups and downs. And yeah, now I am where I am. So I guess I don't know what to say really. Uh, what would you guys like to talk about?
Maybe we could start with how exactly you approach these universities. What was the application process like? Because we have a lot of students here who are preparing for their higher education, and we'd love to know a little bit more about the entire process, what you did to prepare, and how you got into all of these universities. What was the entire story all about?
Okay. Um, this was a childhood dream, I would say. That And all my information came from TV shows. Okay, so I'll be very honest about that. And I just, I just always dreamt of going to these places, but I didn't know how. So the only way I thought it could be done was to have a stellar resume. And yeah, I worked for 2 years straight to build that resume. So if you want to get into research or anything of that sort, so these all these big universities, they really appreciate if you have research on your resume. And so I guess, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And when I was just completing my BCA, I was approached by some people on campus to be at IITM in the office as a TA. And I was lucky to have that opportunity, and I just went in, not thinking anything. And I was, I guess, one of the first people on campus. So we were actually only four people on campus. So it was just when they were starting the whole TA-ship program, and they were figuring out what work they should give us. And I just went in then there with one aim. I knew that I wanted to explore new things. I wanted to explore the campus, and I wanted to do some sort of research, get involved in some sort of research, which is very much possible when you're at IITM. In fact, when you're on campus, opportunities are like dancing around you. You just have to be there and just grab them. So that's exactly what happened. At some point during my TA-ship, there was a research project that the team was interested in. We worked on that together, and that led to a publication. So uh, that led to a publication, an international publication. And I was so just not the publication part, but the whole journey of doing that project was uh, very nice for me, I would say. During the process, I realized, okay, this is the kind of work that I want to do. And so I'll just go a little bit into detail of what I was doing. So we have a Python course in the program, right? So, and we have OPPs. So we were trying to figure out if we can leverage LLMs to provide feedback to students using LLMs. And that was the time when GPT was not even a thing. I mean, it had just come in, and we started to explore if we can use it at some point. So when we published, by that time, GPT was a huge thing and everyone was talking about it. And we were like, yeah, we've been doing it for a while. We know all about it. But it was pretty cool, to be in the center of a place where everything big is happening. I mean, you dream of these places as you think like something great comes out of these places, and it does actually. So when I stepped in on campus at IITM, I felt that now I'm at a place where new things, big things are happening, and yeah, it took me to places. So while I was on campus, I did a couple of other things. I did not know anyone as such, so I I tried to join their theater society, which sort of did not work out because I was not paying their institutional fees. But they liked me in general. I guess I gave them an audition without telling them that I've had some previous experience in theater. So eventually they gave me like a group of people, and we made an entire play on campus. And then I did that in Paradox as well for a while. So what I'm trying to tell you with that is that extracurricular also matters when it comes to your application. Uh, they just don't want to see someone who's very studious or does amazing internships. They want to see extracurricular on your resume as well. They like want a whole package. So yeah, I did that, and then there was this point during. So my TA-ship led to our RA-ship, and I was research assistant for a while, and after that, my mentor on campus, Dr. Jayakrishnan, he said, "Now you've been here for a while. Now go explore other places." So I was on campus, and like I said, like opportunities are everywhere on campus. So when I was working on a particular project, there were some professors that we interacted with. We actually interacted with some professors that are part of our program. We met Professor Arun Rajkumar, Professor Chandrasekhar, and there I also met a professor from IISc, Professor Viraj. And I by then I realized that this is the kind of work that I want to do. And I just targeted the kind of people who work in that field. So Professor Viraj felt like the best choice. And I approached him and he said, yeah, let's see, I can make something happen. And that led me to IISc. And I was there for another 4 months. I worked on a app for an ISRO project while doing some research here and there. And uh, and then there was some conference happening over there, which was very much related to educational data mining. And I just wanted to attend that. And Professor Viraj was somewhat organizing that conference. It was an international conference, and I went to that conference as a volunteer, wherein I attended some sessions, met some people, and that's when things really changed for me, because I met this one professor who was from University of Pennsylvania, and we were just talking about some problem that I was trying to solve, and he said, uh, I feel that I can see my younger self in you. I can see that curiosity in you. And so I asked him, what kind of students do you look for when people apply for a master's at your program? So he said that we look for people just like you with all this curiosity. And I just felt the world shaking beneath my feet, and I was like, okay. And that's when I decided, like, I will apply now. I wasn't ever aiming of these big institutes. Those were dreams for sure. But it's when this happened, then I was like, okay, I have to try. I really have to try. That's when I started the whole application process, and there are multiple things that went into that process. But I'll take some questions before I get into the whole process. Someone is asking, can you start from your 10th and 12th and then the degree? Okay, so here's the thing. I did not have mathematics in 11th and 12th. I had biology and I had computer science as an elective. So that closed a lot of doors for me when I wanted to pursue a career in computer science. And the only thing that I could do was a bachelor's in computer application from a university wherein they do not ask for a maths major in school, and they had their own entrances. So yeah, that happened, and it was pretty bleak, I would say, because in these state universities, the syllabus hasn't been revised since 2008, 2010. So and in a field of computer science, things are changing every day. So what I did get into a good school, I would say. It was not a bad school. But instead of doing a lot of computer science over there, I was trying to do these certificate courses that I could use later to build skill. And I explored other things that people do in college. But then COVID came in and everything was in lockdown. So that happened. And I didn't really prepare for any competitive exams. I mean, I did give NEET for medical, but then I instantly knew that I don't want to go in this field. This is not the field for me, for sure. And yeah, so that's all about my school life, I would say, and previous life in college. It was mostly lockdown, and during lockdown, one good thing that happened to me was I discovered about this program, IITM BS program. And whenever and wherever I go, I talk to people about this program, because the kind of thing that they are doing here is something that I've not seen anywhere, like till now. I mean, I have been to Harvard. I've been to various other places. I am currently in the States, actually. I am here for a research internship. So I've talked to multiple people, and no one has heard of something like this. So there are massive online open courses, like the ones that we have with NPTEL. We have Coursera, we have multiple different platforms, but no one has a program that really asks you to come into centers and give exams and is that engaging, like our program is. So it's sort of a very unique program for everyone here as well. And yeah, and it can take you to places. So uh, they offer TA-ships, they offer RA-ships, and once you do them, you're on campus, you have multiple opportunities. and just make the most out of it, I would say. Don't take it as like a side degree that you're doing with your original degree. I would say take it as something where you can get a lot of opportunities if you do well. So yeah, put in all that you can here, and yeah, things will happen. So there are a lot of questions coming in, and okay. Um, can Nikhil, can you help me navigate through these questions?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the most, I guess, repeated questions that we have right now is, you got on campus, you got a whole bunch of internship opportunities, but how exactly did the specifics of that work out? A lot of people have questions about how exactly, you were able to look out for these opportunities. Did they just come by as you went along, or was there any particular platform that you used to get them, or was it all just through networking?
It was mostly all through networking, I would say. So, with the TA-ship that you get on campus, is when you have a CGPA above 8, I guess. That's when the team mails you and asks you for if you're interested in a TA-ship of any subject. And then they have interviews, and if you clear the interview, you get to come on campus for a period of I guess 4 months, a term basically. And when you're on campus, then you can network with people, you can do multiple things. It's up to you to figure out then.
Okay, so another question that the audience has been asking is, what did you exactly apply for when you went ahead and sent your application to all of these universities in the US? And how big of a role did your CGPA actually play when you were actually being interviewed or your entire application was being screened? Because a lot of people, we get this question all the time. They say, hey, I have a 9.5, I have a 9.6, I have this amazing GRE and a TOEFL score, but none of these universities just want to accept me. So is there any indicators that, that universities actually look for before accepting your profile? Anything that you can share with us? Any experiences?
Okay, so now that we've come to the application part, um, there are I think 4 things that are required for a good application. Uh,
Mm-hmm,
First, I would say is LORs. Second is SOP. Third is your resume. And fourth is your exam scores, right? So now in US specifically, some big universities have removed the criteria for GRE. You do not need to
mm-hmm,
write GRE, which I did not. So
mm-hmm.
it's fine. You can write GRE, get a score, but it only helps if you do not have a lot of things on your resume. If you already have a lot of things on your resume, a lot of internships and maybe research papers, I don't know if someone is interested in research. So that's when you do not need a GRE. You do not need a stellar score in a GRE exam. And as for English exam, I don't think it really matters. You just have to clear some bars over there. I didn't really prepare for my exam. It was a whole chaos when I went to give that exam. So I am from Agra and I had to travel to Delhi to give the exam.
Oh,
And
okay.
I took a train in the morning, and my exam was in the morning. And I got really late, and somehow that exam did happen, but I did not get a really good score. I just got something of a 7.5, I guess. And it worked well for me because I had other things that were strong. So out of these 4 things, if you have like 2 things figured out really well for yourselves, then the other 2 things do not matter. So LORs is like a big part of it. Uh, the people who are writing it for you really matter. So one of my LORs uh, came from IIT Madras, and one of them came from a professor at ISC, and another came from a professor at University of Pennsylvania. So, which is where my application really stood out to people, especially the letter of recommendation that I got from a professor from University of Pennsylvania really helped out, as because he was a big name in the industry in the first place, and I believe that people who would have seen that application, they would have been like, okay, he's here, he says she's good, she must be good. So that helps. And I think CGPA, now coming to CGPA and marks, it is also a criteria in, as in it's a checkbox. So if you have anything above 8.5, it's good. It's good. So if you have a 9.5, would that matter if you have a 9.5? It's good if you have a 9.5. But it's again a criteria. If it's again like a checkbox to tick, it's not something that really matters after a point of time. So again, it's sort of a balance that you have to make around things. So if you are focusing on internships and focusing on other things that are happening around you, maybe you won't be able to get like a 9.5 or 9.7, but you can definitely maintain an 8 and 8.5. So yeah, that's when it comes to, that's all about I know about the CGPA, I guess. And yeah,
So how exactly did the entire application process go out? Because as you know, to pursue a master's in India, you would usually write, the GATE, or you would write GATE JAM, or you would write a plethora of other competitive exams, and then you would be either be called for an interview, or it would be a counseling session that you would have where you fill out a form. So from what I understand, in America at least, it's a completely different system that these guys follow. They take your resume, they have a couple of rounds of interviews with a placement counselor, if I'm not wrong, and then you get shortlisted for a degree of your choice. So could you just walk us through that entire process?
right. So, application process in America starts around, I mean, deadlines are around all December and January for different programs. And you have to start your process of figuring out which school you have to go to, which program you have to apply to, at least 6 months before, because you have to give I think English proficiency exam. That can also be waived off in a lot of cases now. So if you have had English as your medium of instruction in your previous school, and your previous school says that on your transcript, which IITM does, then you can just show that, and you don't have to give IELTS or TOEFL or any English proficiency exam as well. So you have to write your statement of purpose, which, by the way, is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Writing your entire life story in 500, 700 words, and why you want to do what you want to do, is very hard. So you need at least 2, 3 months to figure out what you want to write and how you want to write it. And SOP is a very big part of your application. Figure out your letter of recommendations. There are, most of the applications require three letter of recommendations, wherein one letter of recommendation has to come from someone who has taught you before, and others can be from industry. So if you have any work experience or internship experience. So I guess, a lot of this is something that I know about IITM, that if you ask our professors to give you LORs, they say that they need to have worked with you before to give you an LOR. So try to get internships with them. And or maybe now that at the degree level they have this system wherein you can enroll into offline classes on campus, maybe that can help. And if you work as a TA or an RA on campus, uh, you can get a resume, and I guess you can get a LOR. And if I guess people who have GPAs above 9.5 also get a letter of recommendation. So figure out your letter of recommendations. They are a very integral part of the application. And what else? Resume. So yeah, this is the application part of things. It will take you a lot of time to go through all this. Also, it is a costly affair. I would not say that it's a very cheap affair. To fill in those application is what it's also very costly to fill in those applications. So you need to decide which colleges you have to apply to, and which Be very specific about picking your colleges. That's the first step. And after that, and also have a budget. Okay, so I come from a very middle class family. I would not say that I had a lot of money. I applied everywhere, and I picked and chose like 5 colleges I wanted to apply to, and one of them was a safe school. So even if I don't get in anywhere else, I will get in here. I know for sure. So aim high, but just don't aim too high, and do not take any safety schools. So do have like a 1 or 2 safety schools on your list. And there are a lot of agencies that help you with all this process, and they take a lot of money. I didn't go through that route. But if someone wants, they can go through that route as well. Or just ask your peers. That helps a lot. So uh, yeah, that pick your school, first part. Second part is figure out your letters of recommendation. Tell your professors that you need a letter of recommendation. And I think this is the process that takes the most amount of time. So that professor has to send a letter of recommendation directly to the university that you're applying to. And these letter of recommendations have to be very specific. So if you're applying to Harvard, that letter of recommendation has to be your professor recommending you for Harvard. So now if I'm doing 5 applications, then my professor will have to send 5 different LORs. And same thing goes for statements of purpose. If I am applying to 5 different universities, all my statement of purpose have to be different and have to align with every university aim and purpose and what they're looking for. So all of this really takes a lot of time. I know a lot of people who start a year ago, and I personally started 6 months ago. So I guess, yeah. And there's the one more thing. So a lot of universities ask you to convert your degrees into do like a course by course evaluation. So you have to go to a third party and get your courses evaluated into the US grading system. And that takes a lot of time, because in that for that to happen, you have to send your transcripts to this external party, and that external party will convert then your grades into US grades and then send that to your university. In my case, it took 3 months. So it's it's a very long process. Start early, that really helps. I would say that I did not do it. I was crying on the last days, but it would have really helped if I would have started early. Yeah, that's the process. I didn't have an interview. There were no interviews. I think interviews happen for undergraduate students, not for graduate students in most of the programs.
Okay. Okay. So here in India, like I talked about the entire counseling system, you have very little power over actually what you select when you go to your master's degree or your undergrad. Is that any different in the US? Does the college decide what you're going to be studying in university, or do you have the flexibility to choose whatever you want to study?
You have the flexibility to choose whatever you want to study. So, in the programs that I've applied to over here, okay, actually, I've made my mind, I'm going to Harvard. So, that is because the program that there is in Harvard, my program is called Learning, Innovation, Design, and Technology. And in that program, it's in the Harvard Graduate School of Education. So you have to take like credits from that particular uh, course, but then 50% of your credits can be from any school of Harvard. And Harvard has a collaboration with MIT. So you can take courses from MIT as well. So the world is open to you over here, I would say. Uh, and when you're in this institute, you can just, go and audit classes as well. You don't have to, really credit a class to be in a class. And that works anywhere, to be honest. So while I was on campus, even at IITM, I used to go to classes. I figured out that if you can just go and ask the professor that I want to sit in your class, they will never say no. They'll be like, okay, come and sit. So that works everywhere, not just in America. That works everywhere. I guess even if you like have a big institute near where you live or you work, and if there's something that you're interested in, then just go attend classes, ask the professor, go. Sometimes they don't even notice that you're there. So be a rancho and go and just attend classes. Yeah. So
Great. So I think we've covered a majority of the questions. We can go through the chat and we can see if there are any other interesting questions that you want to jump on. And guys, this is for all of the students asking, how did you, get an internship or how did you get a TA-ship? We will be having a session about how to join as a TA because so many of you do have, questions about that. But for now, Miss Shreya is here to talk about her journey and how she applied to all these universities. So if you have any questions pertaining to that, please feel free to share those as well. So one of the major questions that everyone seems to be asking Ms. Shreya is about scholarships. So is Harvard going to be providing any financial aid, or is it going to be what exactly is the process? I guess I'm going to ask.
okay, I'm so sorry I didn't cover that section. So scholarships. Okay, it said that studying in America is a very costly affair. Yes, it is costly, but it you can help yourselves by applying to scholarships. So when these applications go out at that same time, they also have a financial aid office. Every university has that. And sometimes when you just apply for a program, they have it integrated. They are going to give you a scholarship based on your application itself. So you don't have to apply externally. But some institutes have it separate. They need you to apply to those separately. So just keep a note of the deadlines and when they are. And outside of that, there are a couple of external scholarships that you can apply to. You can find those scholarships uh, in the university financial aid uh, section. So it's very hard to, it's not very hard, but it's a little hard to find out. uh, you just really have to go through the entire website that your university has. One scholarship that I know about that works almost for all domains is a Fulbright scholarship. So for that you have to have 2 years of work experience and I think a 4-year degree to apply, and it funds your entire master's. So if you get in, I wasn't eligible for it, but if you get that, you can just go in and do that. And there's one more thing that I would like to mention. So there's this one thing about America that I really liked is that here you do not have to have like a 4-year degree eligibility to get into an institute, to do a PhD, to do a master's. I know someone from my lab who's like 22 and completing his PhD. So things like that are pretty common over here. And you just have to showcase your work in some way. So figure out, if you don't get, if you can't get internships, uh, maybe do I guess competitions online, or cold emailing helps a lot. So if you want to get a internship with some professor, just send them an email. This is one thing that I figured out, and it took me a long time to figure out, that you get things when you ask for them. If you don't ask for them, you will not get it. So just ask for things and maybe you'll get something. So knock on every door, and some door will open for you someday.
So, any shots that you don't make are shots that you have missed. So I guess that is, a very huge deal, that takeaway that we have from this session. So we also do have a couple of students asking, is it worth doing any Google or Coursera or external certifications when you're applying? And, is there any, I guess, a secret sauce when you're applying for these institutes? You have talked to us a lot about the importance of an SOP and an LOR. But apart from that, any other external factors that you think might help these students getting into these big universities?
Uh, I would say go to first. The primary thing is to figure out what subject, what field you want to get into. So passion is something that really matters to all the people you're going to be talking to. They will have to invest their time with you. Why should they do that? If you so the first thing to do is figure out what interests you, and then figure out the major people in that section. So this is what I did. I figured out when I was at IITM that I wanted to get into the education domain of things. So I figured out the major players, and then I went to conferences. So when you go to a conference wherein uh, you know that this is your field, you're going to meet a lot of people who are the alphas of that field. So uh, you don't even have to pay for the conferences. Every conference has a volunteer list, or people looking for volunteers. So you can just figure out by going to the conference website that this is the person that you have to contact for being a volunteer. And yeah, you just contact them, you be a volunteer, you don't have to pay for anything, you get free food, and you get to meet all these people, you get to attend all these sessions. So uh, yeah, and then you can talk to those people, you can tell them about your ideas and what you want to do, and maybe one of them might be interested, they'll take you in, which is what happened with me with the pen prof. So I was just talking to him about some ideas that I had, and he said, yeah, we can work together at some point. I was like, I would love that. And I worked with him, and he gave me an LOR. So that works out.
So that sounds like a huge roller coaster ride. It's an amazing experience just listening to all of these different things that you have done, and I can definitely be sure that it must have been as much fun doing them as it is hearing about these things. So also we did have a very unique question. So one of the students asks, my offline course would have a summer break from 15th May to 15th of July. What do you think I can do with this time under IIT Madras preferably? So any suggestions to this junior of yours?
I think there are ACM summer schools happening across India. So go to these summer schools. They do not cost a lot, and you will meet a lot of people over there. You will meet professors over there, and you can maybe convince them to give you so this is one beauty about our program, is that you don't have to stay anywhere, like you don't have to go to one college and study over there, you're restricted to it. The world is open to you, and you can just go to so I was doing the IITM BS program throughout all of my journey. I was in campus, I was doing the program. I was at IISc, I was doing the program. I am here in US, I'm still doing the program. So you can do multiple things with your program by choosing the kind of subject, like the amount of subjects and the amount of rigor that you want. So it doesn't really restrict you, which is why if you go to these summer schools, you figure out a professor that you are interested in working with, and if he's interested in working with you, you can just continue doing that along with your degree. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, guys, are there any more questions that you guys have? So I do see that there are a couple of repeated questions. I I'm not exactly sure if this is being live streamed anywhere, but we will try to get the session to you guys. So you guys can go through it if you have any of these questions that have already been answered before. So one of the other questions that we did get from a student here, just one moment. Okay, so would it be possible to get all of these opportunities if you are only pursuing this degree standalone? Do you think that having another secondary degree would be a bigger help, or do you think it doesn't really matter what degree that you do?
uh, it helped me with technicalities, that's all. I mean,
Okay.
in terms of experience, in terms of grabbing these opportunities, I think it was solely IITM that made it happen. I was there for a TA-ship, I was there for an RA-ship, and I got to meet people on campus, which is why everything happened the way it happened. My previous degree only helped in terms of eligibility at some places.
Okay. Okay.
So
Um,
that and okay, there's one more thing that I would like to mention. So I know about this that NPTEL has this program wherein if you're a topper of some courses or some course, if you are a topper of one of the courses that you take on NPTEL, uh, then you get the opportunity to maybe come and work with the professor that whose course you aced. So that can be another door. So IITM basically has a lot of doors that open to you once you're in this program or you do an NPTEL course. These kind of I haven't seen these opportunities coming up in anywhere else, I would say. Uh, Another thing, I did not, I see this question that people are asking, what other certificate courses that you do? I didn't do many. I did some intern shala courses when I was very young. They didn't help a lot. But I think NPTEL courses are very good. So you don't have to go anywhere, I would say. And then your YouTube is very good. You find all sorts of resources over there.
So let's take a question that's a little bit more close to home. Uh, so a lot of students have been asking, okay, you've done so many different internships. There's an RA-ship, you got an LOR from Penn State as well. But then how did you manage to do all of these along with the BS degree program? How did you pace yourself so that you could maintain a good GPA while doing all of these things? Any tips to your juniors? Because I see a lot of people struggling with statistics and maths, and they would love to hear a little bit of advice from you as well.
Okay. This is the hard question to answer. So, uh, I would say that I am where I am. I have reached where I have, and it has happened because I've had very nice friends that I've met through this degree. And I've had peers who've helped me uh, through my courses. Uh, I have a friend who helped me through the entire math stats, MLP, not MLP, MLF, MLT, and everything. So he was like my personal tutor. And yeah, I think having peers around you and them helping you through the course really, really, really helps you. And I wouldn't say that it was easy. It was really hard. There were times when I chose like, I've made a lot of mistakes. I wouldn't, I mean, it just seems that I've done a lot of things, but I have made a lot of mistakes on the way. So it cannot be a linear graph. It has to have its ups and downs. So, uh, yeah, there was a point when I was doing the stewardship and I had four subjects and very hard subjects. So I have had my bad days, but I just, I guess it's just the determination that you have to get through somehow. And then you have a lot of help from the degree as well. So there are TAs and TA sessions that you can attend. There are your peers that you can connect with who can help you through the courses. And these live sessions are really, really informative if you want to get the most out of them. In fact, in degree level courses, sometimes even professors join and they teach you the course. So that can also be a very good way to connect with your professor.
Okay,
So
so any other questions, guys? So Ms. Shreya is joining us from the US, and we would love to respect her time as well. So we will be wrapping up the session really soon. So we'll be taking another two or three questions from your peers. Okay, so I think there are a few people here asking for your LinkedIn profile, Ms. Shreya. If it is okay, could you share that over on the chat box, or any way to reach out to you?
uh, I will enter my student email and you can just mail me. And I'll be happy to answer anyone's question. It'll take some time to answer your questions, but I'll uh, try my best to answer to every email that I get. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shreya. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. So any other questions, guys?
Actually, can we have people raise their hands and ask
Sure,
questions?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyone who has any questions, they're more than free to raise their hands. So we do have Mr. Amey Kulkarni, Mr. or Mrs. I'm so sorry. So Amey, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask your question. No? Okay, Mr. Sarthak Singhal, please go ahead. Um, okay, so until then, we can have Samyukta Sriram. You can go ahead and ask your question, please. Okay, just one moment. Okay, so I believe there is a small technical issue with the microphone. Um, just one moment. I'll try to override this.
I think Sarthak is asking, could you shed light on how to go about writing a research paper? Okay. You the best way to go about it is to have a mentor first. You can try on your own, uh, for sure. And the first thing to do when you want to write a research paper is to read a lot of them, because that's when you get to see the language and how and what is all is required to write a paper. So first learn how to read a paper. It's a skill. How to read a paper is also a difficult thing to do. So there are sessions for that as well, wherein you can um, there are workshops that NPTEL also does, where they teach you how to read a paper, how to write a paper. Um, and it really depends on the field that you're in. So every field has different sort of uh, different styles of writing the paper. So yeah, it really depends on the field. And it's good to have a mentor, because your mentor knows how to write a paper and they can help you through the process. Uh, okay, where can we look for these papers? I am from Google Scholar. Uh, okay, and uh, there are okay. There are a lot of questions coming in. Someone asks, is there an age restriction? I'm not sure age restriction to what, but I don't think there is an age restriction to any degree that you want to pursue. Uh, I applied to the Harvard Graduate School of Education and to the EDM program, EDM in Learning, Design, Innovation, and Technology. BCA helped me in terms of eligibility, as in I had a 3-year degree. I haven't completed the BS program yet, and I do not have a BSc yet. So I have my diplomas, but I do not have a BSc yet. So I could apply easily because I had a BCA. Uh, do I know any humanities students? I know a couple of people who've switched to data science, a couple of commerce students, a couple of yeah, maybe humanities students. It's just you have to have that interest. And I guess if you're doing this program, if you're putting in so much time besides your like a different life that you have off screen, then I guess you have the interest, and you can just uh, work hard for that. Which programs did you get selected for at CMU and Stanford? I didn't apply to Stanford. I wasn't eligible. And they needed a 4-year degree. And That's the only US institution that needed a 4-year degree from India. So CMU, I applied to the metals program. It is Masters in Education Technology, and it's a very long abbreviation that I do not remember. Uh, my all the programs that I applied to were very education centric. So I want to do something with education and data science, and yeah, so I chose programs that are very data science and education centric. I did not write GRE Samyukta, and what would you suggest major area of focus should be, like maths and stats? You cannot get uh you cannot do anything without those two subjects. So data science is all about maths, stats, and then programming your maths and stats. So you can't get away from them. If you're not focusing them on them really well during your foundations, it will bite you when you come to the diploma level. And yeah, then even if you clear your diploma courses somehow, uh, degree level you will not be able to manage. So maths and stats is something, it's hard. I know it takes some time to uh, get a grip over those subjects, but ask help from take help from your peers, and make those like very, those are foundations, right? You have to have your foundations really strong. You
Okay,
may
I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah.
So we do have time for one last question before we have to wrap up the session. So does anyone have any other questions about the entire application process? Because I believe we have covered a majority of these questions during this session. So guys, please do not spam the chat box. I see a lot of people spamming the exact same question. If it has already been covered in the session prior, we will not be taking it up again. Um, okay, so I guess we have covered up a majority of the questions that everyone has, asked today. So thank you so much, Ms. Shreya, for joining us today. I understand that you've, joined us all the way back in the United States. So thank you so much for sharing your insightful journey with us. It's a lot of stuff to take in, and we just wanted to say, as fellow IITM batchmates as well, we are incredibly proud of everything that you have accomplished. So, thank you so much for joining us once again. And yeah, best of luck for your entire future. I hope you have an amazing time at Harvard. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everyone. So we will be closing this session now. Thank you so much for joining us. Any questions, you are free to reach out to the Student Placement Council, and we will be helping you with those questions as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.